Thanks to Rosina Moder, founder of the Music Unites Jamaica Foundation. We are here today to celebrate the life and works of Jamaican composers. Since 1985, when Rosina first arrived in Jamaica from Austria, she has championed Jamaican musicology, not least of all by marrying her Jamaican composer husband, who you'll learn about later, and with him producing her accomplished Jamaican musical family. Rosina has asked me to reintroduce Samuel Felsted, our son of the soil and Jamaica's first documented composer, who, after having been in hibernation for over an astonishing 200 years, was initially revealed to us in 1990 by the late Dr. Thurston Docks, at the time a lecturer in the United States at Hartwick College, Oneonta, New York, and the conductor of the Catskill Chorale Society. In collaboration with Sister Mary Dominique Ray, founder of the American Music Research Center in Boulder, Colorado, which provided the research funding, actually, it was in 1978 that Dr. Docks took on the lifelong task of researching Samuel Felsted and his remarkably wide-ranging achievements. Apart from being the composer of Jonah, the first known oratorio written in the New World, and other ecclesiastical music, while his actual named profession was organist and composer, Felsted was also known variably as the botanist, the inventor, the poet, and the artist. Samuel Felsted's father, William Felsted, was alleged to have come from the town of Felsted in Essex, England, but was somehow to have been found in Jamaica in the 1730s, almost 3 centuries ago. It was in Boston in 1736 that William applied to open a shop, quote, as an ironmonger who arrived from Jamaica, unquote. In 1741, he married Joyce Weaver in Philadelphia, and they returned to Jamaica together, to where Samuel was born in 1743, followed by many other siblings. It seems that the entire family was musical, and William Felsted did well between his ironmongery business and serving as the organist at the St. Andrew Parish Church in Halfway Tree, a profession that was carried on later by his son Samuel. Samuel was most likely educated at Woolmer School in Kingston, which was established in 1729. His musical training was first mentored by his father, followed by the Venerable Daniel Delusky, who long served as organist of the Kingston Parish Church. Later, our Samuel became the organist at the St. Andrew Parish Church, and then, at the death of his mentor, Delusky, he became the organist at the even more prestigious Kingston Parish Church. Samuel Felsted's epic oratorio, Jonah, was composed with libretto around 1773 to 74, and was published in England in 1775, with frontispiece drawn by the famed Anglo-American painter Benjamin West, and engraved by the renowned Italian Francesco or Francis Bartolozzi, both among the list of the 253 subscribers who chose to support Felsted by subsidizing the publication of Jonah, which has languished in the British Museum for those 200 years. In 1771, Samuel Felsted was admitted to the newly formed American Philosophical Society in Philadelphia, founded by none other than Benjamin Franklin and other notable intellectuals of the day. Remarkably, Felsted became one of the only 4 18th century Jamaicans to be received by this distinguished institution. Jamaica has a rich and varied historical and cultural heritage, influenced by the many ethnic groups which have graced her shores and shared their distinctive styles of artistic and social expression. From the earliest times of the agrarian Aboriginal Taino Indians to the arrival of Columbus in Jamaica in 1494, followed by 161 years of Spanish influence, and finally the conquest by the British in 1655, an amazing aesthetic groundwork was laid. Within a remarkably short period, Jamaica became an eclectic colony of wealth and importance, accompanying both the voluntary and involuntary immigrants. the indigenous cultures of Europe and Africa came to the now flourishing and fashionable island of Jamaica, where they blossomed and melded into a unique culture all its own. The first public theater, spelled P-U-B-L-I-C-K, is documented in 1682, and believe it or not, horse racing in 1687. Exquisite tortoiseshell objets d'art were being made, while gold and silversmiths were crafting Jamaican hallmark designs in Spanish Town and Port Royal prior to the great earthquake of 1692. In 1688, Sir Hans Sloane was writing his illustrated natural history of Jamaica. I must mention here that few persons are aware that this great Irish-born British physician, naturalist, and collector, born in 1660, spent only 15 months in Jamaica, yet took back to England over 800 specimens of flora and fauna, which he bequeathed to the nation, and his collection became the basis of the British Museum, which we know today. He also introduced Jamaican chocolate to Europe, and was the first to document the enigmatic practice of the Jamaican Christmas-time John Canoe, a singular type of masquerade conceived, designed, and performed by the enslaved, surprisingly in partnership with their owners, who were competing with each other for the most outstanding costumes and characters. I bet you didn't know that. Printing was instituted in 1718, and the many news sheets and periodicals were advertising a plethora of theatrical presentations, musical happenings, and dance opportunities soon after that time. Repertory companies from London and New York were visiting Kingston and Spanish Town by the 1750s. Grandiose monuments and paintings by visiting artists of repute were being commissioned in addition to exotic wood furniture and fitments. Architectural competitions abounded so that dignitaries could vie for the finest Jamaican Georgian homes. It is of particular note that Jews have always been welcome in Jamaica, along with Middle Eastern, East Indian, and Far Eastern ethnic groups. It was in this ecumenical environment that Samuel Felsted grew up, and with his parents and family was assimilated along with so many other migrants who have contributed to the mainly African fabric of Jamaican life, cuisine, and culture. Though the Felsteds were Anabaptists, they were connected to the Anglican Church and Christian beliefs in the same way that over time the African descendants determined their own Christian religions, language, and artistic prowess, while intermingling with the European descendants to create the unique beauty, intelligence, and pride of the Jamaican people today. Samuel Felsted epitomizes the European and American side of this unique fusion. His oratorio Jonah was slated to be performed in 1789 in the presence of the recently elected George Washington as the first president of the United States. Even that long ago, Jamaica was gone abroad and making waves with Felsted's Jonah, pun intended. For myself, I feel very privileged that I was somehow involved with this extraordinary musical discovery. Thurston Docks stayed with us at our home during many of his later research visits, and I was able to follow the entire story from beginning until the jubilant day when Thurston finally found the proof of Samuel's birth in Kingston in 1743. He had nothing but praise for our National Library and the Jamaica Archives, and all the many dedicated persons who assisted in the search and became intrigued and involved with this amazing musical discovery. Later, with the blessing and help of the rector of the St. Andrew Parish Church, now Suffragan Bishop of Kingston, the Right Reverend Dr. Robert Thompson, on the 26th November 1990, the Jamaican oratorio Jonah was performed at St. Andrews for the first time since it had been last performed there circa 1775. Among the 700-odd persons and dignitaries present in the church were Dr. Thurston Docks himself and his wife Lillian, along with Kenneth Ingram, then librarian of bibliography for the University of the West Indies, and Pamela O'Gorman, then director of the School of Music, who had all been tremendously helpful during the research. Also of immense guidance, Paul Bicknell was there as the organist then and still continues in this capacity to this day. Wonderful Paul. It has been my pleasure to share with you the excitement of this discovery and to remind us all of the importance of the preservation of our precious history and heritage. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Facey, for bringing us that vital information that we all needed to know about Samuel Felsted, our own.